Hey everyone, today's video is going to be my firsts tag video. I saw this on Barbie's channel and I thought it was a really cool tag, so I thought I would do it myself. The thing I want to say before we get started is that the lighting and the camera quality is different because I am using my iPhone. Still haven't got my camera back from Dick Smith's yet, so we'll have to hope that that will happen soon. The first question is, what was your first tweet? I actually made my Twitter such a long time ago and I've done so many tweets that I couldn't even tell you. Yeah, it'll take me way too long to go back. But I got my Twitter before I made a YouTube channel, so I'd probably be something like, yay, I finally got Twitter, or how do I use Twitter? Twitter's so weird, Twitter's dumb, or something along those lines. I don't know how to use Twitter, something like that. Sounds about right for me. The next question is, what was your first YouTube video? My first ever YouTube video was an extremely awkward introduction. It's still up on my channel. I've taken down quite a few of my videos because really they're just too embarrassing to have up, but the intro is still there if you guys want to go back and look at it. That was the first ever YouTube video that I filmed and that made it onto YouTube. Next question is, who is the first person that you subscribed to? I definitely have to say that it would be either Juicy Star 07 or X Sparkage, one of the two. Or Panacea81, Lauren Luke. One of those three would have been definitely my first person that I subscribed to. Or Smosh. One of those four actually. Don't really remember one of those. The next question is, what was your first Facebook profile pic? Well friends, I'm just going to put it in right here. It's basically me, half of my face, with a really fuzzy camera, and I thought it was really cool. Interesting factoid, my brother's first ever profile picture was his opposite side of his face. The next question is, do you still talk to your first love? This is like a weird question because if you're counting like when I was young and I was like, oh my god babe, I love you so much, when in actuality you're not even in love and you're just young and naive and you think that that's love when really it's just the stupidest feeling ever, then no, I don't. If you're talking about first real love, then yes, because I'm still currently with him. So yes, I do still talk to my first proper love. First childhood ridiculous love, no I don't. What was your first alcoholic drink? I'm not gonna lie, I can't really remember, but I didn't start drinking as per New Zealand culture until really late. In New Zealand it's really common for people to start drinking when they're like 14. I'm not joking, like it's really common, because I was drinking ages 18. I think maybe my first sip of alcohol may have been when I was like 15. And I'm not even gonna lie, I hit it hard. I'm pretty sure I had cocktails with my family on New Year's. Though when I was 15 or 16, I can't remember which one it was, but then after that my first alcoholic drink probably was like a KGB or a vodka cruiser, but that's like the first one that actually sticks out in my brain. What was your first job? My first ever job altogether was working for my dad. He worked for, I don't know if you'd call it like a courier company or like a mailing company. I worked there for 3 days I think it was, so I'm going to tell you my other job as well, but I worked there for 3 days and I delivered papers for a hourly rate. But my first proper job was working in an after school care facility near to my home, and I worked there for just under a year before I didn't officially resign, nor was I fired. I just stopped getting asked to come into work, so officially I guess I still do work there. What was your first car? I do not have a car, but when I do want a car, or when I have my license, I'm basically going to co-own / share my car with my mum, and it is a Mazda, I don't remember, Astina maybe? I don't know. The next question is, who was the first person that you thought of this morning? It would have been my dad, because he burst into my room and yelled at me, so he would have been the first person that I thought of this morning, because he yelled at me. So next question is, where was your first sleepover? Now this is a really fun story. I haven't told you guys before. I don't think I tell many people this story, but my first ever sleepover was when I think my friend was turning 7 or 8. I think it probably was 8 because I would have been 7 because of when my birthday was, and I went to her house and it was quite close to my school, and I remember her house so vividly, which is really strange. But I remember we were dancing around to S Club 7 and I didn't really like S Club 7, like I was more of a Venga Boys kind of kid, but whatever. Would Venga Boys have even been around in the early 2000s? Anyways, we were like hanging out at her house or whatever, and it was really fun sleepover. And then I remember in the middle of the night I was always like a really antsy child. Me and my brother were both really like anxiety ridden children. Really strange. But yeah, we were I got really nervous and I couldn't sleep without my mum being present, and I was like freaking out. And then I was like, I went and cried to like the girl's mum, and I was like, call my mum. So like she called my mum and mum was like, just sit down and go to sleep, you little shit. Like obviously not like that, but you know what I mean. Just like, I'm not coming to pick you up. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. and I just managed to go to sleep and woke up the next morning, and then that's where my memory cuts off. The moment after Mum, you know, I talked to Mum on the phone, I cannot remember any more of that memory other than the fact that she didn't come and pick me up. The next question is, what was the first concert you ever went to? Well, the only concert that I've ever been to was at the Sydney 500. Is that what it's called? The one in Sydney? I think that's what it's called. And it was, I don't even know what they're called. See, I obviously didn't want to be there. I don't know what they're called. My mum was like so hyped to be there, and we only stayed for like half of it. Actually, no, I saw The Living End were there as well, and I liked that act because he like played the guitar with his beer can, which he sculled the whole beer and then started playing the guitar with it. Like, it was really, really cool, but other than that, I was not interested at all. What was your first broken bone? I have actually never broken a bone in my life. I am very fortunate in that I haven't broken anything, nor, touch wood, have I been stung by a bee, so no broken bones to report here. No stitches either, so I have no extremely ridiculous medical stories to tell you all. The next question is, what was your first piercing? For me, I got my first piercing when I swear I was 7, but apparently I wasn't. I must have been 8 or 9, but I got my earlobes pierced, which I don't have anything in them at the moment because they're quite irritated. I don't know if you guys find this, but when you get a new piercing, like for example mine's here, whenever I put anything in the same ear, it tends to get infected or like really, really irritated. I don't know if it's because that's already an irritated ear, I don't know. But yeah, my first piercings were my earlobes, and I got them when I was 8, and I also got them on Father's Day. I know that for a fact. I got it on Father's Day with my dad. My dad took me, and I kept on trying to play with them. He was like, stop playing with it, and I was like, but I want to play with it. The next question is, where was your first foreign country? As I mentioned, I said that the first ever place that I went on a plane was to Australia, so that was my first ever foreign country. Interesting fact, not really related to foreign countries. I've actually never been to the South Island of New Zealand, and I've lived in New Zealand my whole life, and that is 19 years, and I've never been to the South Island. The next question is, what is the first movie that you remember seeing? Well, if I'm speaking from like a movie theatre point of view, I definitely would have said the first movie that I remember seeing, I have a really bad memory, as I've told you guys like 500 times, is going and watching the first ever Harry Potter movie with my dad, and we saw all of them up to I think the 5th movie, then we kind of just stopped because I got older and I didn't really want to go to the movies with him at that point in my life. You know, when you're a teenager and you're too cool for your parents kind of thing. And I remember we were both like jumped out of our skin when Hagrid knocks down the door, because in the theatre it was so deafening, and that's the first thing that I remember in my first like movie theatre experience. Other than that, the first movie that I remember watching was either The Lion King or Aladdin. The next question is, what was your first detention? Well, I'm going to tell you two. My school had lunchtime detentions and after school detentions. My first ever lunchtime detention was because I didn't bring in my homework, probably. I got them quite a lot for that in my first kind of 3 years of school, and then I didn't get any more for the rest of my time at school as far as lunchtimes go. As for after school detentions, my school went all the way from year 7 to year 13, and I only had one the whole time, and it wasn't even my fault. It was because actually I might have had 2. There's only one that I can remember, and it's not that long ago, so surely I would know. But it was because me and my friend were in maths class, and we had this teacher called Miss Lee, who at the time I didn't like, but then I had her again the next year or the year after, and I really, really liked her that time. I don't know, it's really weird. Same with another teacher that I had. Actually hated him the first time around, but like loved him the second time around. I cried when he left. But anyways, we were being like ridiculous. Like I was obviously laughing really, really loud, but my friend was like crawling underneath the desks, just being generally disruptive, which was kind of like my thing in high school. I was just really that disruptive, annoying person, but in the way that I'm not trying to be disruptive. I'm just really, really loud. I wasn't like, oh hi miss, da da da. I wasn't like disrespectful. I was just really, really loud. The next question is, who was your first roommate? As you guys should probably know, I do live at home, but my first ever roommate was my brother. When I think it was when he first got a bed. We shared a room up until I was 9. Yeah, the year before we moved house. The year that we moved house was the last year that I shared a room, and then from then on I've had my own, very small, but I have had my own room. The next question is, what is the first sport that you were involved in? I'm just going to speak for majority of New Zealand here and just say that it was netball. I'm sure most of New Zealanders' first sports were either netball, rugby or soccer. I also did gymnastics, and I did one session of dancing, and I quit instantaneously because it was just not for me. I was quite a tomboy, and dancing was just not a thing that a tomboy did. Gymnastics for some reason was, I don't know, but I love gymnastics. But I got up to the level, like there was like 6 to 8 like normal badges at my gym. I think it might be like a university thing, I don't know. And then you moved on to bronze, silver, gold, or like bronze, silver, tin or some whatever, and I got up to the first level of that, and I chose not to continue. I can't remember why. I think I wanted to focus on netball or something, I don't know. I wanted to change to another sport, but I really wish I had kept going with gymnastics. But my gym wasn't like a proper gym, it was just like an inner school kind of thing, so it wasn't like really, like I wouldn't end up going to the Olympics from it, if you know what I mean. It was just like a hobby kind of thing. The next question is, what is the first thing that you do when you get home? I can honestly say that the first thing I do when I get home is I take my shoes off, I take my pants off, put my sweatpants on or shorts depending on what season it is, I sit down on my bed and I watch YouTube videos and I get a glass of water, and that's about what I do when I get home, and that's what I do for the majority of the evening because I am a sad human being. When was your first kiss? Well, I don't really remember. Is that really bad? The first kind of occasion that I remember with boys though was at a school disco, and there was this guy, I can't remember if I only saw him at that social or if I'd seen him somewhere else, but he, I don't know, he like asked me to dance, and like we were holding hands. This was in year 7 I think, or year 8, so I would have been either 10, 11 or 12, I don't know, one of those, probably 10 or 11, and we were just like holding hands and like going like da, 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 da. And then I think he kissed me, I think on the cheek, but it might have been on the lips, I don't know. I don't really remember other than that. After that, the next kiss that I think that I would have had, oh, it's so blurry. I had like so many little boyfriends here and there, but I think the next proper kiss that I probably would have had would have been when I was like 13 or 14 maybe, and it was just really unpleasant. Like I remember for the majority of my life, the whole thought of like tongue when kissing just sickened me, like it was filthy. It was just like, it is not good. Obviously they didn't know how to kiss, because now it is relatively remotely pleasant. I'm really lying, it is totally inappropriate. That is it. I'm sorry this video was excessively long. I am incapable of making a tag video short, especially one with like 20 questions or however many is in this video. So I tag all of you to do this. I will leave a list in the description box of people in particular that I tag to do this. The list of questions will be there also. I've typed them all up nicely for you guys so that you can do this tag if you choose. So thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it remotely interesting, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys!